When I was in middle school, I got a 92% on a math test. I was kind of proud of myself. I thought I crushed it. But when I came home and showed the test to my mom, she looked at me and she said, "What happened to the other 8%?" That moment stuck with me because while my friends were out there celebrating getting B's, I was being grilled for not being perfect. And I know other Indians have had the exact same experience as me. And this is exactly why Indians dominate in school. I was always a top student throughout my education. And this might frustrate you, but I studied less than almost anyone else. Hi, I'm Rahul. I'm a PhD student, and I graduated from college in the top 5% of my class in one of the hardest majors out there, biomedical engineering. Now, I've been studying in the college environment for 7 years now, and something I've always noticed is that no matter where I go, Indians always seem to do better in school. In this video, I'm going to break down the Indian secrets on how to study effectively so you can get better results in less time. Growing up in an Indian household, studying was never a choice. It was an expectation. After school, I was expected to sit and study, and if I didn't, there would be consequences. Now, at the time, I hated it because my friends didn't have to go home and study after school. They could just go straight to the park and play basketball, or they could go home and play video games. And I would get so jealous of them. And I got into so many fights with my parents about this. But how do you think those friends did in school? They did mediocre at best. And as toxic as you might think it seems, this environment taught me the importance of discipline. Only mediocre people wait for the motivation to do something. Everyone has good and bad days, but the best students show up and study regardless of how they feel. For them, studying is automatic, like brushing your teeth. You don't wake up and decide to brush your teeth. You just do it. And that's what studying became for me. Now, here's the good news. You don't have to grow up in an Indian household to learn discipline. You just need a system. The best way to build a system is to have a schedule. Set a daily time to study and stick to it, no matter how you feel. Because motivation is unreliable. Discipline is how you win. You know those kids who brag about staying up until 2 a.m. studying or bragging about studying 10 hours for an exam? They'd almost say it like a flex. But honestly, I thought these people were idiots. Like, I would study for maybe a couple hours for an exam, and I would still do better than these people. And the reason for this is Parkinson's law. Work expands to fill the time that you give it. For example, if you give yourself all day to study for an exam, you will use all day to study for the exam. And I promise you, you could have done the most important work in that time in just 2 hours. And if you think about it, studying for 10 hours doesn't even make sense. If you wanted to build muscle, would you go to the gym for 10 hours straight? Of course not. If you wanted to build muscle, you'd get in a few good sets of exercise and then you'd rest and recover so that you could come back the next day stronger. Studying is the same way. It's not about the time that you spend studying in any given session. It's about what you do when you study. Most people waste their studying time on low impact activities like making pretty notes, highlighting them, reading the textbook. These things look and feel productive, but in reality, they're just another form of procrastination. The Indian secret is to spam practice questions. When I was a kid, my mom used to quiz me every single day on times tables in capital cities. And guess what? I still remember them over a decade later because your brain doesn't learn by reviewing information. It learns by retrieving it. So stop wasting your time reading notes and start testing yourself. Have you ever met any of those Indian kids who are just a little off? Like they don't really show any emotion, they don't really talk to many people, and they just study all day? Yeah, sure, you might think that they're a little weird, but the truth is, these people always ace their exams. This might be a little uncomfortable, but to truly study effectively, you need to channel that weird kid energy while you work. Because during your deep work, you can't afford to be distracted. Put your phone in another room while you work, or even cut the Wi Fi if you have to. At the bare minimum, treat your distractions like a reward. You're only allowed to use your phone after you finish 2 hours of solid work. It's a very simple rule to follow, but it's going to have a huge payoff. And if you really want to get ahead, you need to be intentional with your time. Before you start studying, write down exactly what you're going to do. Don't just write, I'm going to study chemistry. I want you to write, I'm going to do 3 problem sets of acid-base titration and then review my answers. The more specific you are, the more likely you are to follow through and actually get it done. In addition to school, I also had tutoring. If you've ever seen one of those tutoring centers like Kumon, you'll know that they're always filled with Indians and Asians. If I got anything less than an A plus in a class, even sometimes when I did get an A plus, my parents would get me a tutor. Math, physics, English, SAT prep, it didn't matter. We had a tutor for it. And growing up, I used to be so embarrassed about it, like I was falling behind or cheating the system. But looking back, tutoring gave me a huge advantage in school. The truth is, your professors in college are not there to make sure you succeed. They're just there to teach the material. And teaching is also just one part of their job. Your professors probably haven't taken a college exam in decades. Tutors, on the other hand, know exactly what it takes to succeed because they've done it recently. Tutoring isn't a weakness, it's a shortcut that Indians figured out a long time ago. In India, the school system is so brutally competitive that if you don't get help, you'll fall behind. So tutoring became normalized. We don't wait until we fall behind to get help. We get ahead so that we can't fall behind. So that wraps up this video. If you want to learn about the science-based strategies to study and learn, click right here, and I'll see you next time.